Hi, and welcome back to Awakenings Podcast. Today we have a little bit of a role reversal. Instead of Amanda McDole asking the questions, I'm going to be asking Amanda McDole the questions.
That's right. Oh boy.
Oh boy, so she's in the hot seat. Here we go. I know that everybody wants to know how you got started, not only with just Vitality, but how did you get started with the
How did this all begin?
How did this all begin?
Oh, the Jameses is how it all began.
Those
It began one cold December morning at Panera Bread. You think I'm kidding? I'm not.
No, as a lady.
Not. So I was hired in as a nurse practitioner here at Comprehensive Centers for Pain Management. That is that is what I thought I was going to be doing. So I was a nurse practitioner for about 6 months when Holly James came to me and she said, "Hey, do you want to learn about hormones?" And in my brain, I went, absolutely not.
I do not.
Absolutely no. I got no interest in that whatsoever because in nursing school, I learned about it and it never made sense.
Do they talk a lot about this stuff in nursing school?
No. So when I think hormones for nursing school, I think thyroid.
Right.
That's all I think about because we didn't really talk. Testosterone was a male hormone. It was never talked about in female reproduction. And then estrogen was just like, yeah, right? You ran about the reproduction cycle, but thyroid always. I remember well, these numbers equal this treatment. And I'm like, well, but the patient still feels because you get it's story problems essentially. Like you get case studies.
Okay.
And what do you think? Here's all the labs, here's all the symptoms. And I'm like, oh, that's easy hypothyroid, but the labs don't match. So it never made sense to me. So when Holly came to me and asked me to do hormone training, whatever, right, is what I was thinking. And then she said, well, we're going to send you to Texas. It was October. It's nice in Texas in October.
Let's do
We're
it.
going to get a couple days off.
Right.
Like, sign me up. So they sent me out to Texas to do, or was it Arizona? It doesn't matter. It was warm. To do training out there. And I sat there it was about like a 4-day training, I believe. Literally like this. The whole planet.
Couldn't work it.
Where's this medicine been my whole life?
Right.
Where's this been? As soon as I came home, there's actually a picture on my social media of my very first lab draw. Because I was like, drum of blood.
It was a hard lab draw, wasn't that?
Oh, I was a little heavier then.
I was going to lead into that. It has a lot of people who come in through here will say things like, well, you wouldn't know.
No. Oh, would I?
You wouldn't know. Right. But they don't know where you were 4 years ago versus where you are now.
Right.
So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so it was a tough lab draw because my veins were terrible, right? So it was 4 pokes. I was like, give me the needle. I'm doing it myself because Chelsea was about to give up. Yeah, so just give me the needle. I'll do it. So those labs came back normal. Shocking, right? So at that time, I was unhealthy. I wasn't miserable, or I didn't think I was miserable. Like most of my patients, I didn't realize how crummy I actually felt until I felt better. I think I was weighing in at like 205-ish. My heaviest was 208 non-pregnant. But around that time, I was 200. I'd lost and gained the same 30 pounds over and over and over again.
Right.
Get on the wagon, fall off the wagon. Do massive calorie restrictions, do fad diets, fad programs, and it works until you fall off the wagon. Right. So that's kind of how my life was. So when I got the labs back again, all normal, not optimal by any means. So I looked them over with Dr. James and we came up with a treatment plan together, replacing hormones, optimizing my nutraceuticals, my supplements, things like that. And it was just a very slow, steady process, right?
Right.
So it was actually October 31st. I remember that day. It was a Saturday morning when all my labs came back in and I met Dr. James and Holly here at the office and he pelleted me for the very first time. We have it on video too. It's actually kind of fun. But he pelleted me for the very first time. And back then, so some people that follow me on social media, I post stories, and back then I was posting stories as well, just not as often. And it's kind of fun because they're popping up in my memories now. Totally different person.
Right.
Not just how I looked. but how I felt.
And that's the thing about your social media. A lot of people who follow you have followed you either from the beginning or they're just now starting. But the people who followed you from the beginning, they have seen every aspect of what BHRT has done for you.
Absolutely.
Every aspect of your weight loss, your weight training, your eating habits, your running,
Mhm.
all of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it just recently, you know how you get memories on social
Yeah.
media? So one of my memories from it was 2 weeks, well, whatever time it is now. So the 31st was about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So it was 2 weeks from my first pellet, and I'm on there. It's so funny now because I'm all like, I think I slept better last night, but I'm not totally sure. It's so funny because it's like with most of my patients, it's almost like a placebo. So I got pellets. October 31st, I got pellets. So, and I tell my patients, pellets to peak effect is about 4 to 5 weeks.
Right.
But everyone's different. You might notice symptom improvement before we get to that peak effect. So, like my patients in the beginning, I didn't really know. And I was second guessing myself, like, I think I feel better, but I'm not really just sure, right? Yeah. Yeah. So it was kind of cool. It is cool to look and see those memories pop up. But I will say it was slow progression, it was slow improvement. And I didn't focus on the externals for a long time,
Hmm.
right? So I got my hormones fixed. I got all my supplementation, you know, my vitamin D, my magnesium, my omegas. I got on all that stuff and just kept doing my normal, what I had been doing life, right?
Right.
Eating like garbage, drinking the weekends,
Hmm.
right? So I felt better, right?
But you didn't feel better.
Oh,
You didn't notice any physical changes.
oh, no, I had more energy. I think I was sleeping a little bit better. One thing that's really big for me is how I wake up in the morning. Like, do I wake up like, oh,
Super groggy.
right? Or do I wake up like, ding, let's go, right? And I was much more alert in morning. So it was several months of this, you know, treating patients and learning about, you know, I took it a step further. Okay, we got hormones, but we need to, it's more than just hormones.
Obviously, just like anything else. It's not magic. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time, but you also have to add things to it.
Right.
So it's not just a pellet
Right.
that's going to change your life. It's
Mhm.
going to be your lifestyle. It's going to be what you put in your mouth. It's going to be, what vitamins or supplementations you use. Stress. Are you drinking? Are you smoking? I mean, there's so many different things that go into it.
You're absolutely right. And it took me as a patient to really realize that too, and to really start listening to my body. There were so many times throughout my adult life that I heard of intuitive eating. What is that? Are you kidding me? I'm always hungry.
Right.
So if I'm intuitively eating, I'm eating constantly, right? That whole thought of listening to your body, mind muscle connection, when you're lifting weight, mind muscle connection. What are you even that never made sense to me until I really started paying attention. And it was probably 6 months into therapy. So after my second pellet round, I was like, you know what? I need to get it together. I need to get it together with my lifestyle.
Right. Because if you don't, how are you going to convince your patients to do the same thing?
Right.
How are you going to say, you should listen to me if you're not doing what needs to be done?
Right. I need, you know, I'm leading people to water. I need to drink that same water too, right? I always say, you know, lead the horse to water, you can't make them drink. But if I'm drinking the water, maybe they'll follow suit, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it took me a while to really hone into it. And you know what the biggest thing was? I had shortly after I started working here as an NP, so the year before I started pellets, I had torn my ACL snow skiing. And my knee was messed up and I could not start. I was trying to run. I was dating a runner at that time and I was trying to run and I could not run to save my life. So I said to myself, you know what? I need to rebuild the muscle around my knee to support it, and that will help me with this goal of running.
Right.
So that was the whole point. I started weightlifting. So I told myself, 4 days a week, Amanda, 4 hours max a week, 4 hours a week. You're going to take pictures before you start, progress pictures each month, regardless of what they look like. You're going to take a picture of it. You're going to get on the scale every day, not once a week, every single day, and you're going to document it. I use an app, MyFitnessPal. I use the free version. I document my weight, still do most times, every single day. Why? To learn
Mm.
about my body.
What else did you use?
What do you mean?
What else did you use?
Oh, that was probably about a year, almost 1 year into pelleting. I did a continuous glucose monitor for about 8 weeks. It was very expensive. I hope they've come down in price because that is an amazing tool, for someone to learn what food does to your insulin, to your glucose levels. Yeah, that was a really cool tool. I used to drink coffee. I love coffee. I used to drink coffee with coffee mate coffee creamer. Thought it was doing something great. It's like 35 calories, like NBD, right?
Right. No.
Dude, after a continuous glucose monitor, my blood glucose would shoot all because of that coffee meat coffee creamer. I don't drink it anymore. It's kind of crazy. Now, when you change your diet, like when you start pulling back this garbage, and when I say garbage, I mean the highly processed foods, Cheetos cheese puffs. Are you kidding me? I used to love those things.
Mine is cinnamon toast crunch.
Okay, Cinnamon Toast Crunch. When I was pregnant with Preston, if my box was half empty, we had a problem.
Yeah.
We had a big problem. There always needed to be a backup
You
box.
have to have a backup box. I don't buy any Toast Crunch. It's really hard.
But yeah, I bet you if you haven't had it in months and you go,
It's horrible.
garbage. It's so gross.
Like you said with the coffee mate coffee creamer. Like if I drink that now, it's like syrup.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah, or you look at it and it's got like an oil slick in your coffee. You're like, why is there oil in there?
I had heavy whipping cream in my coffee this morning, and my daughter's like, "What? That is disgusting. What happened?" I'm like, "That's just what it.
That's heavy.
It's whipping.
Yeah.
It just settles. Like, yeah, well, fat.
Absolutely. That's what I use now.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, so it really was just a gradual change. Like with my weightlifting, I stuck to it. I told myself 6 months, you're going to do this for 6 months and you're going to learn about your body. You're going to learn about the fluctuations in the scale because that scale will go up and down multiple times in a week, right? You're going to learn, oh yeah, when I eat this, I see this not only in my sleep, but also in the scale the next day, right? If I eat Chinese food, if I drink alcohol or eat ice cream, it looks like somebody beat me with a baseball bat nowadays, because I got so swollen. So,
Well, that's the cool thing about this is like I've seen you through your whole entire journey. I've seen you when you were at your lowest to where you are at your highest, and like even now you're like, "Oh, that was a 5-pound weekend." Last weekend was a 5-pound. That's okay because you're gonna go work out. You're gonna just get off your ass, or something. It's not sorry. Get off your butt.
no, get off your ass.
Yeah, you're gonna go do something, and you're very consistent about that. And it took a while for you to get that consistency.
Yeah.
But you do it.
Yeah.
And
Because
you do.
there was a period of time where I was strict, right? I was very strict. And I followed my plan to a T when it came to exercise, when it came to moving my body. And when it came to my diet, I was still eating the same things, just less of it. So I was listening to my body and when I was 80% full-ish, I would stop. I would stop eating. If there was food on my plate, whatever, I push it away.
Right.
As opposed to like you shut and you're like, oh, like you just keep shoving it back. Yeah, right. So I stopped eating as much, but I was still eating the same things initially. And then over time, again, by weighing myself every day and seeing if you're gaining 5 pounds overnight, there's a problem. Or if you're gaining, and I never weighed myself 2 a day, but if you could, because if you're gaining 5 pounds in a day, your body is reacting to something, right? That is inflammation. That is swell. Like that is not
Normal.
fact, right? You don't gain 5 pounds of fat in a weekend, overnight, in a day.
Right.
It doesn't happen. So yeah, you joked. I did. This weekend was a 5-pound weekend. I weighed myself Friday and weighed myself Monday and gained 5 pounds. But you know what? I went out of town, went to an Ohio State football game. OH, right? I went, had beer, went to Top Golf and ate the food,
Right.
and did the things. But you're right. As soon as I get home, I get back in, eating a salad every single day, drinking more water, getting off my butt and lifting some heavy stuff, and it'll be fine. But I know that now because I put 4 years of education in my brain about how my body works and how this weight fluctuation. Weight's a big thing with my patients.
Yes, it is. And I'll tell you, a lot of patients come here because of things like that. Like when you went and learned about about the pellets, you were so passionate about it, and you're the kind of person, and a lot of people will say this. If I tell her something, she's gonna research it. She's gonna look into it. You're always learning. You're always listening, but you're always learning.
Yeah.
And so that's something that a lot of people that come like, and that's one thing they'll say, like, okay, well, I want to do this, this, and this. I want to talk to Amanda about this, and you'll go and figure it out. If you don't know the answer, you're like, I'll get back to you.
Yeah. Oh,
And so that's something that a lot of other places or people practitioners don't do.
right.
And so that's something that's really cool about.
Well, I'm glad that you're bringing that up because if you Google pellet therapy, you're going to find people who are like, this is the greatest thing ever. And you're going to find people that are like, that's the biggest crock of baloney ever.
Right.
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 There are good mechanics. There are bad mechanics.
Right.
There are good hormone providers. There are not so good hormone providers. And that's what I love about what we do here is because it's not just pellets.
It's not.
Pellets are not for everyone. They're for me. They will always be for me. I will not be consistent with creams and orals and
See.
I have a heck of a time taking my supplements, let alone if I have to use a cream or something. I'm not gonna do it. And I know that about myself. But I do agree that if you go into a hormone replacement therapy provider, clinic, whatever word you want to use, and they say, well, we do pellets and that's it, you should probably walk right out the front door, right? Because pellets are not the only option and they're not even the best option for everybody.
Right.
And it's not one size fits all.
Mhm.
I don't have the same pellet dosaging and the same supplement regimen that you do
No.
or the next person.
Right.
All right.
Right. And I think that's important, like you said, for people to know because just being on the phone, with people even today, I've had several people, I've had a male and a female both say to me, I'm going to my primary care physician. One of them was like, they were so angry. And then the other one's like, oh, well,
Mm.
my body might, my choice or whatever. So you run into those kind of things
Where other providers
don't agree with. Yeah,
with
not everybody's going to agree with what we do. Not everybody's going to agree on how to facilitate that. But
so let's talk about that for a second. Why don't they agree? And I can give you my opinion of why they don't agree. I think a lot of it is, and I can't blame people for not knowing what they don't know.
right.
Right? There was a study that was done in the early 2000s called the Women's Health Initiative. It was a horribly performed study and then horribly reported study. If you Google it, it has been refuted multiple times that it was not a good study. But the outcome of this study led to a decline, even a cessation. People stopped prescribing hormones because this study said hormones cause cancer. It has been refuted multiple times, multiple times. But if you're not, and when I say you, I mean a provider, a doctor, a nurse practitioner, a midwife, a gynecologist, I don't care who you are.
Right.
If you don't stay up on the education, on the research, you don't know. You don't know. But everyone, when this study came out, knew or thought that hormones cause cancer. Why? Because the media snatched a hold of that. It was on the news, right? So you don't log on to 13 ABC now and go, oh, hormones don't cause cancer anymore.
Exactly.
Right? They're not
Yeah.
reporting. They're not reporting.
No.
So you have to, as a provider, it is our responsibility to stay up on that research, to stay up on that education.
Mhm.
And then also, this might be to kind of stay in your lane, right? If you don't know, then you shouldn't really be sharing your opinions with your patients if you're not well educated.
Right. Because then that just causes chaos, because then you have a patient who's doing really well, and then all of a sudden they're coming in and they're oh my gosh, this doctor said I'm gonna die.
You're right.
Or whatever, and
Right.
and it's really hard to manage that.
It is because it puts the patient in the middle.
Yes, it does.
Because you have me saying, no, it's fine.
Right.
And then you have somebody else saying, oh, X, Y, and Z could potential or whatever.
Right.
And like you said, a lot of my patients are like, no, I feel amazing. And a lot of my patients have done their own research. So
Yes.
when they come in here, they're educated.
Yeah,
Which
they're right.
that is my favorite. My favorite. I've gotten asked before a couple questions. Like, who's a good candidate? Anybody who's up and walking.
Mhm.
And how old is too old? Dead. I mean, seriously, like, and how young is too young? And now there's some limitations to that. Obviously, we're not seeing anyone under the age of 18 here in this office. I do have a lot of very young men that are coming in with low testosterone. My older men have higher testosterone than my younger men. It's crazy. Is that not terrifying?
It's terrifying.
Absolute. And look around. Look around. People are like, why, Amanda? Mm, look at everything we eat. Everything we're exposed to is all endocrine disrupting, right? So it's really wreaking havoc on our hormone status. So yeah. Yeah. Oh.
Oh. Well, I'm going to ask you this question.
Oh.
It's the same question you ask everyone who's sitting in your chair. If you didn't have vitality or you wouldn't have had BHRT, where do you think you would be right now?
I'm going to answer this question twofold. I'm going to answer this question as a provider and as a patient.
Okay.
Prior to doing Vitality, even in the beginning, because when we first started Vitality, it was all like very word of mouth. We did not advertise. We did not nothing.
Yeah.
So I had a couple patients a month, right? And we have grown in 4 years. No joke. 4 years ago, I had 1 or 2 patients per month. Now I am full-time, 4 days a week, Vitality Health and Wellness. How cool is that? But as a provider, before I made a big transition into Vitality Health and Wellness, I was getting burnt out
Mm-hmm.
about 8 months in. What? 8 months into being a nurse practitioner, I was going, I don't think I want to do this. I don't like this.
Yeah.
Because I was working the pain management side, not because I don't like pain management, but I did not understand healthcare until I became a nurse practitioner. And when I say understand healthcare, I really am talking about the hoops, the black tape that is put up by the insurance companies,
Mhm.
by the pharmaceuticals, by all of that. You have people that dictate what you can and cannot do who had never seen the patient sitting in front of you.
Right.
That was very challenging. And was not prepared for that as a nurse practitioner. So then finding Vitality, not only was I like, this is amazing. This is a whole new way of treating people. This is the way people should be treated.
Uh-huh.
I treat you, not these stupid numbers on my screen. Oh, so it was like, it was mind blowing. Like, this is awesome. And then I became like borderline obsessed with it. You guys made fun of me because I only read hormone books. You guys,
That needed some other silver. We did. We picked a whole bunch of different books and we're like, you are not going home and worry. You are gonna.
I was going on vacation and you were like, no, you are not taking that hormone book. You're taking this book.
Shout out Colleen Hoover.
Oh, I read about 4 Colleen Hoover books that weekend. It became a passion that I'm like super, super excited about. And when I go home, that's what I want to learn about. I want to learn more, not just hormones. I want to learn lifestyle. I want to learn food. I want to learn it all so that I can share it with my patients. Not only because I watch them change, but because I felt that same change.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So as a provider, I think I would have gotten burnout had I not learned this scope of practice. I think I would have just been going through the motions, filling the prescription.
Yes.
Right. And just see you next month. And
I agree.
and just going through the motions of it. As a patient, I would be still yo-yo dieting, right? I would still be jumping on and off that stupid wagon. I would definitely not. I've not been this size ever in my adult life.
You have never ran a marathon.
I had a half marathon. Let's
Half
not get
marathon.
crazy. Let's not go crazy. I mean, I did run 2 half marathons. So if you add them together, I was like, they were 6 months apart.
Yeah,
But
It's a marathon.
right. No, I never would have run a half marathon ever. Not in a million years. I never would have had a visible tricep. You can see my tricep.
And that's also.
I would have never been able to do a pull up. Like, I mean, these are big deals. These gotta be big.
It's all a big deal. Yeah. I mean, these are things I know would have never thought you could accomplish.
I would probably still be hoping for a life expectancy of 65 years old, right? That's what I used to say. I'll be lucky to make it to 65.
Both of our moms passed young.
Young. My mom was 54 when she passed away. Which 54 is 12 years from now.
I know it's not
Isn't
that
that crazy?
It's not old.
That is crazy. 54 when my mom passed away. My grandma was 72. So I used to say, well, I'll split the difference.
Right.
If I make it to 65-ish, I'll be happy. Not anymore. Before Vitality Health and Wellness, yeah, I probably would have made it to maybe 65, right? Because I would not have changed. But yeah, I am very, very, very thankful, very grateful, not only for this career, but for this change and this shift in my life. It's been amazing. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, if you guys want to see a little bit of Amanda's journey, follow her on her Instagram. Follow us on Facebook. And we'll see you next time.